You just see them in front of me right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There might be a dozen. Crazy. They're not salmon, those are steelhead. I bet my house on it. Alright, I went up the river, a different tributary actually, a little ways, a couple hundred yards. You can still hear the fairly busy logging road below, so it shouldn't be too annoying. And I got the camera up as high as it'll reach so it can see behind me into the forest. Right? I'm just leaning up against a log jam. Funny, when I was casting, trying to get those steelhead on video, I thought I saw something at the bottom. So I tied a rock onto my line. I kept casting it down and looping it around, and I finally caught it. Got a brand new pair of sunglasses from the bottom of the river. And they fit. Now, listen up. I don't think the mosquitoes are too bad. I can smell some forest fire smoke down by Nit-Nat, where I made that video a week ago. Another man-made fire, another man-lit fire. No, it wasn't global warming. Now, listen to this. I don't know what this is about. Sounds I've never heard before in the woods is the title of this email. Hi Steve, thank you very much for the work you're doing. I've been watching your channel for more than a year. First time I stumbled upon it, I thought, wow, this guy's crazy. But the more I watched, the more I realized you're very passionate about the subject you are relaying. Keep it up. Your views, politically, socially, and otherwise, mirror mine. I've referred your channel to many of my friends and family. My name is Mike, you can use it. My surname is unimportant. I will say I share it with a state forest in Pennsylvania where I live. I'm 58, I love the outdoors. I fish, hunt, hike, camp, and mountain bike. I consider the woods my church, year-round. I spent many hours in the woods here in PA and never once have felt uneasy. Never once have I heard or seen anything that I would consider weird. That is until recently. Don't get me wrong. I believe there's a high possibility that Sabe exists. Ghosts, UFOs too, but that's a different story. Well, I assure you the Sabe exists, dude. Seen him. Unfortunately. So in 2022, I was looking for a trail I could hike overnight. I'm contemplating several different trails. The Allegheny National Forest is just one area. It has many sightings, and it's a long drive by myself. Yes, I think I'm looking for an encounter. Not sure why yet. A friend's cabin is very close to it, the eastern edge. I wasn't there that night, but I was told of a sound like they had never heard in the woods before. Anyway, I chose the state forest close by to explore, one much closer to my home. My family spent a great deal of time in it when I was young. In fact, my father's mother... That's a loud, empty logging truck. In fact, my father's mother, God rest her soul, is from the Delaware State Forest area. There's a trail there called the Thunder Swamp Trail, a 31-mile loop. This will do the trick. I decided to take the day off, get away from work and society for a day and scout out this trail. I was never on it before. A typical trail in PA, swamps, streams, and lots of rocks. However, the hike was relatively easy. I'm on the trail now for about a mile. I found a grassy area with clumps of small trees. People have camped there by the looks of things. I thought, cool, this is great. I explored it for a while, and I decided that I was going to continue on the trail for maybe a few hundred more yards. Then turn around and head back to the car. As I was walking, I heard what I can only describe as a child playing and laughing. It sounded far away. I thought I was near a house. There was some family who was on the trail ahead of me. I turned around to head back and noticed the sounds were coming from deeper in the woods where I was sure there wasn't any trails. I still blew it off. I was halfway back to my car and I heard the sounds of children again. This time heading towards me on the trail. I expect to pass a family on my way out, but no one ever passed me. I only told a few friends about that. My brother wasn't one of them. A few weeks ago, I asked my brother to go for a hike with me on that same trail. I did not tell him about the last time I was there. I'd forgotten about it, actually. I was in front of my brother, and we planned on 2 miles in and 2 miles back. We had other plans for the afternoon. We got to the area where I'd heard the children before, and I heard them again. My brother said nothing, so I didn't think he heard it. About 100 yards more, I heard what sounded like a woman saying, "Say what?" in front of me. Then a few seconds later, I heard a male voice grunting behind me. I turned around to see my brother staring behind him. I said, "You heard that?" Calmly. He said, "Yeah," calmly. He asked if I heard the female voice in front of us, and I told him what I thought she said and about the children's voices back 100 yards or so. He said he heard that too. Wasn't sure what to make of it. We continued to our 2-mile planned destination. We heard several more sounds I can't explain, and even heard a baby crying. But I'm not going to say. That was a coyote. I never heard that before during the day. I checked our location on a map, and there were no houses within 2 miles of our location. Neither of us felt the urgency to leave the area. We saw nothing. On the way out, we saw or heard nothing. With all the experiences people have, how can anyone say Bigfoot is not real? I've never seen one. I've never seen God either. Steve, keep it up. Keep sharing those voices. One day, good will prevail. Yes, it will, as long as good doesn't quit. Right? As long as good doesn't quit. You're not the only one who has thought at first for people to be crazy when they talk about this subject, but now that you've had somewhat of an experience yourself, you can see why I'm a stubborn prick about it, and I don't give a shit what anybody says, and there's no man's gonna laugh loud enough to change my story or stance. You can't shame people into changing honest truth. You can't. Well, a lot of people can, obviously, in certain groups, but not this group. Seen it, heard it. Not going to change my story, and neither is anybody else in this big club, right? But anyway, man, thanks for sending that email in. Appreciate your kind words and words of support. And you might want to try talking around your community around there more with people who are doing the same things you do. Square up with them, look them square in the eye, don't show any humor flair, and ask them what they know, if they see anything weird, right? Man, the big machinery is busy. I'm gonna go hike up this creek more, all right? All right. So we got here. Listen to this. No subject for the title. That means no title. This is the last experience I have to relate to others so far. I've been trying to come to grips with this one for over 20 years. Early spring 2021, me and a buddy were driving to a cache spot we had to pick out. This was in the Reynolds Creek area of the Cowich Game Management Area, C-O-W-I-C-H-E Game Management Area. As we traveled up the power line road, my friend actually yelled, "Bear!" Immediately he exclaimed, "I didn't know they could run on their hind legs only. It's huge." I then seen what he meant. At 75 yards, It appeared to be well over 7 feet tall, and judging by the scrub oak growing in that draw, the speed was amazing. It covered 300 plus yards in mere seconds. Here's some typos. Get ready, you guys, there's typos. Then made a nearly right angle turn to the right, no slowing down, then disappeared into the forest. Rarely a day goes by, even now, that the whole train of events doesn't play out in my mind. I've asked myself 10,000 times, did I witness the most talented and athletically gifted bear in history, or was this a genuine Bigfoot sighting? I know the answer. I'm no stranger to encounters. My dad even mentioned it that strange shit happens when I camped with them. Hunting was no different. I had several encounters that have been shared here, but only here. But my mind refuses to accept the science and wants me to believe something I already understand. I was not a bear. This creature's locomotion was not in any shape or form bear. Why is this visual experience so very hard to accept? Why does it play out daily in my mind? Why do I question myself continually about this? I spent the majority of my time in the high country. I know what's out there. In Washington, Oregon, Montana, and Wyoming, I am familiar with its wildlife and how they behave. In 20 plus years, I've not been able to draw a conclusion to this episode in my life. I'm not uneducated, I'm not martially untrained. It's like having a tree across the road I'm on and I don't have a big enough saw to remove it. I'm thrilled to be living in the mountains of the Pacific Northwest. Born a free man, you can use my name. Screw people who scoff, Rod Schrader. Somewhere in the mountains of the Pacific Northwest. Welcome to the club, Rod. You know what you saw. You know what you saw, man. Hopefully you listen to the people here, alright? So you can figure it out. Listen to the people. Listen to the people when it comes to figuring out everything, actually. You listen to the people. People that don't want to control you. Alright, what's this? Short but sweet. What's this? Mark it as red. Third time's a charm. Title of this email. Steve, again, thank you for your platform. The portal thing is really starting to grow on me. The singular footprint and the frequent slaps on my cottage with no sightings has me completely baffled. I've experienced deep guttural growls as well as the sounds of coyotes who seem to be being tortured. It's very unsettling. The property is at. You want me to read this out? You're giving me your address. I'm not going to read it out. But it's in Cape Vincent, New York. Maybe you can figure out why the Bigfoot's been hanging around my property. I suspect that it's the fact that most of the properties are seasonal, and my neighbors have easy access to water and food. The deer here grow rather large. They're referred to as mud bay mules. You'll understand when you Google Earth my location. Once again, do not hesitate to use my name because I sincerely do not give a rat's rectum about what people think. Michael Massimo Gaglione. Gaglione, I hope I didn't butcher that, Mike. Threw in my middle name for drama. Okay, man. Hope you understand why I didn't share your address. There's a lot of dirtbags on here with the only intent is to find out where they can go trespass and go seek and maybe destroy, right? A lot of them. And you know what? A lot of them come from that frickin' website. You know the one. Now, what's this? And yeah, just so you know, right where I am, there's been activity. Up creek, and about 4 kilometers that way, a reddish hare being jumped down in front of a truck and over the bank of the road. My neighbor's employee, not too long ago. It was titled Bigfoot Scream. Howdy from Texas to you, Steve, and all yours. Peace and blessings. I live in Abilene, and the next county is a lake. In that entire area, the ape man has been well noted. My first hearing of him was Alton Newton talking about chasing it up and down the creek banks in Anson in the 1930s. We then had a big darlin'. We then had the big darlin' make the front page Abilene Reporter News, where they dubbed the big fella the Howley Hymn. Look it up. It's right there in black and white. Okay, Hawley Hymn. Three of us hippies were out for a meteorite shower. We were all having a great time. Coyotes were howling, and then we and another group started howling. We were laughing our heads off, stoned and a little tipsy, when this terrifying scream near us erupted. Stone dead silence. It was as if someone yanked the cord out of the coyotes. We froze until we heard the footsteps. Left, right, whatever it was, and we know, don't we? Sorry, one more time. Whatever it was, bracket, and we know, don't we, end bracket, stepped over the barbed wire fence, walked across the road, stepped over the fence by us, and was coming right at us. We were sitting in the back of a ranchero. Buddy, we made tracks. Got home never saying a word. Stunned city. Quote, what was that? I don't know. Were you scared? No. You want to go back? Hell no. End quote. Went back the next morning, no tracks. Noticed the barbed wire fences were freshly strung. It was a high stepper. Jones County. Lake Fort Phantom. Share my name, been telling the story since it happened in the late 70s. Best of life to you all and happy trails. Diane Barslow. Jesus is Lord. Diane, thank you so much for that and location. Yeah, they're high steppers. That's something for certain, right? Very high steppers. Amongst other things. Now, I really got to filter through the emails because there's a lot of emails. There's a lot of very intelligent people here who at times I think are trying to explode my brain. Because there's a lot of very intelligent people looking for questions during their ride of life. And they are very diligent, relentless researchers of many topics. And they share a lot with me. And I save them all and I put them in my notes to make sure I read them again if I don't have time to do anything about it or do anything with it at the time. And a lot of these emails are not related to this topic that's seems to be dominating the channel. And it kind of makes you wonder, other people who have far greater audiences than me and been around a lot longer than me, like just say the Joe Rogan podcast, the stuff that I'm getting shared with me, I can only imagine the stuff that gets shared with him or other people who have very large followings and appear to be legit, straight up, right? Man, I'm starting to sweat. It is hot here now. And I'm not sure, I'm trying to make a decision if I should share these emails here on this channel with you guys or stick it to the Rumble, I don't know. But as we look around and search and listen and ask people to share their knowledge, and like I said before, this topic right here is just one. It's the easiest one for me, I feel, to share with the world, to show you directly that we are 100% being misled. 110%. And I'm not the only one. There's a pile of people out there screaming truths from the rooftops. So I don't know what to do. I'm getting so many emails with a lot of knowledge in them that aren't directly related to this topic. I'm wondering if maybe I should share those and do this topic every second day. It's not like I can go start another channel, for God's sake. It's just to accommodate a different flavor of topic. But we'll see. Because there is very important words being shared with me that you people need to hear. The whole you people, all people need to hear, right? So I'll keep today's theme to the Sasquatch topic, what's going on in the woods around us, around me right now, here, and many other places. And then I think maybe tomorrow I'm going to crack open these other emails and share them with you, and you can do with them what you want, take from them what you will, or leave it. It's too easy. Logging traffic, road building traffic. All right, who else do we got? All right, who's next? June 29th video and a similar story to share. All right, that's what we're after. These are all mixed up. Some are recent emails, some aren't, right? Steve, you use my name, it's Claire. First and foremost, thank you for the amazing work that you do. Much respect to you. Thank you for the kind words, Claire. Hearing you read that first email from, Justin of Illinois brought back a very disturbing memory of a similar experience. Years ago, I was traveling along the Trans-Canada, heading towards Camp Belton. One word, Camp Belton, one word, New Brunswick. When I saw a traffic sign warning people to slow down, which I automatically did. There was some construction in the area and a traffic light had been placed on the shoulder. I started putting on the brakes long before I reached the line that had been drawn on the pavement, right beside the "Stop Here" sign. What happened next still baffles me. Rolling very slowly, I made my way right behind that white line. Put my foot firmly on the brake and shifted into park. Obviously, my car was not moving. I was the only car waiting my turn at the light. All of a sudden, and within seconds of my car being at a full stop, I felt as if the tree lines on both sides of the highway were moving away from me very fast. The feeling I had was like I'd been propelled forward at a very high rate of speed. I nonetheless rolled to a stop very slowly on a very long distance before my car was at a complete stop. It scared the shit out of me, as I thought my car had somehow started moving. I still felt I was being propelled forward. I looked down and saw my foot pressing firmly on the brake. Everything was moving so fast it made me dizzy. Dizzy beyond anything I'd ever felt before. This lasted well over a minute. I remember putting my car window down and I gazed at the fast-moving tree lines on either side of me. It was a terrifying experience. Not one I want to repeat. That's a weird one. I got nothing I can say to something like that, obviously. But I'm sharing it. Sharing it. A lot of you out there are having similar bizarre experiences and you're connecting here, right? There's nothing wrong with that. That's frickin' weird. Okay, here comes a familiar name. Marcus Red. The Arizona 4 from another's perspective. Hi, Steve. I finally decided to reach out and share a bit of my truth and experiences with you and the rest of the people. My name is Chris, an experiencer, and another member of the Arizona 4, a name that I initially detested, but have come to accept as it is at least a reference point for you and the rest of the gang here. Yeah, it works for us good, man. Embrace it. Not really sure where to start, but a quick summary might be in order. 36 years ago, I had an encounter in Wisconsin, which started me on this crazy journey, which has led me to where I am now. One of the more positive aspects of the internet and the digital age has been the ability to connect with others, as well as the ability to share knowledge and experiences on platforms like this one. I actually found your channel 4 or 5 years ago while learning about bear attacks and behaviors. I vibed with your genuine and often humorous stories about your bear encounters, having no idea that you would come out regarding your experiences with Sasquatch. Yeah, I didn't have an idea I was going to either. I'd walked away from this topic and most other things in my life at this time, sadly being completely in the throes of addiction and all the soul-crushing misery that accompanies that lifestyle. Steve, it was you and another person engaged in these topics that inspired me to get back in recovery and re-engage with life in a meaningful way, and I am eternally grateful for that. Long story short, I got clean and I moved to Arizona 4 years ago and got my proverbial shit together. As I continued to get well, I rediscovered my passion for the real world and also dove back into my quest for understanding the Sabe people. I dismissed most of the experts as egotistical clowns years ago, as I've learned that pride and ego are absolute roadblocks to growing spiritually. And for me, this has truly become a spiritual journey. It wasn't always. Good for you, man. You are a kick-ass, strong, determined human being. Huge respect. 3 years ago, I met Kevin. We're both members of a very small, closed, online community of experiencers. A group of great people doing what we do here at How to Hunt, but on a much smaller scale. Kevin and I decided to meet in person for a camping trip out on the Mogollon Rim in Arizona. We spent 4 days together that absolutely changed my life. I witnessed and interacted and experienced the fantastical. Kevin and I met as online acquaintances and left bonded as brothers. He just officiated my wedding in May of this year with the rest of the Arizona 4 in attendance. Over the course of that year, I met the other guys, and we were all very close. It's a freaking good story, man. Love it. The amount of things that I've witnessed are almost too numerous to tell here, but I will relate the most significant one for me now. 2 years ago, I was involved in an industrial accident where I worked and crushed, mangled, then amputated my right hand at the wrist. An absolutely catastrophic injury that rendered my right arm, shoulder, and hand useless. That sucks. Hospitalized for 3 months and 22 surgeries later, they somewhat salvaged my hand. After I got out of the hospital and was able to get around a bit, Kevin asked me to go camp with him and another of our gang. I agreed reluctantly, mainly because at this point just pulling my pants up was a chore. The first night was quiet, not a lot of activity, but it was nice just to be out with the guys. That night I lay down in the tent and fell asleep. Hours later I woke up to a feeling of being almost electrocuted. A wave of energy that started at my neck, traveled down to my feet and back to my neck. Not painful, but intense. Having been zapped before, I knew it was the sabe, but thought nothing more, and as it subsided, I fell back asleep. The next morning, I arose to relieve myself and walked over to do so about 20 feet from the morning fire that Kev and Chuck were getting going. When I was finished, I zipped up my fly with my right hand. This was physically impossible 6 hours before. The damage to my hand and arm was so severe that there were no flexor tendons left to move my fingers. I gingerly started to flex my hand. Then tried rotating my arm and shoulder, which again were impossibilities just a few short hours before. The pain was gone, and I'd gained a degree of function to my hand and arm that was medically impossible. Whoa. They had healed me. Kevin and Chuck witnessed this as I began to sob. I walked away to compose myself, and as I did so, I thanked the forest people for what they had done. Immediately after I said this, I was enveloped in a bubble of compassion and kindness that was coming not from within, but was projected onto me. Very powerful and very profound. I have a degree of function now that, while not perfect, is exponentially better than it should be, and I'm grateful beyond words. Sorry for the length of this, Steve. There's so many other experiences to share. Mind speak, physical encounters, and interaction, etc. Do I claim expertise? Hell no. Not everyone's experiences are the same, and I claim no authority about any of it. Although I've never had a negative experience, there are many who have, and I believe them. My journey has become a deeply personal and spiritual one. Perhaps the most valuable thing I will pass on is this. The more that I have sought to grow internally and become a better person, the more my external experiences have grown with the Sabe. All in the best of ways. Peace to you and Sarah, and all the best to the rest of this fantastic community, which I am proud to be a part of. Chris K., the Arizona 4, June 6, 23. Chris, that is a hugely great share here today, and I absolutely appreciate you, man. Good work. You're a kick-ass warrior. And I believe that last paragraph is a very, very important one for everybody to read. So, thank you so much for that share. That's very, very important to hear that last paragraph especially, right? Don't you think, everybody? Wow. Huh. I think I'm going to leave it at that. I think I'm going to close this one on that last paragraph. And I'm starting to sweat. It's dribbling off of my forehead now. I'm not good with heat. Not the best at it. Unless I can jump in out of the water, which I think I'm going to do here down the river a bit. But anyway, you know, if it wasn't so hot, now the times that I can pull off going and meeting all the people from here, various people from here, people have invited me. It's just not going to happen this time of year. The fall, it's definitely not going to happen. So my only windows are going to be, I don't know, maybe, no, I can't say the fall at all. Winter through to spring is when I will be able to cut loose and go. And I'm going to. Obviously the government, the power manipulated rules they had last year absolutely stopped me from traveling, because I will not accept anything forced into my body from anybody as long as I can fight back. So I had to sit and wait it out, which I did, and now I can travel, but my window to go down and say, as example, see the Arizona 4, that window was very, very short in the springtime, and a lot came up and I couldn't do it, but I will do it. I'm going to do it. Anyway. Share my story at howtohunt.com. Make sure you guys get your experiences, your knowledge shared publicly, alright? This is a good place to do it. There's a lot of good people here. And whatever you share, you get it shared word for word. Unless you're promoting something, then that gets left out. Unless I know you, right? Anyway, I'm going to go jump in the water and swim with the fish, and then I'm going to go home. I can't wait to see what I got on the camera. And as a rule, what I try not to do when I'm out in the wilds, especially when I go on the outback trips, I'll have X amount of batteries with me and X amount of, and no recharger, and I try to not review video out here and do it when I get home, so I can save that battery power for video, not me sitting on the log looking at it like this. So I can't wait to get home to check that out, and if it's there, I'll share it. I'm sure if you guys see anything, some wildlife or anything behind me, I'm sure you're gonna let me know. It's a big, typical Vancouver Island rainforest, deep and dark behind me here. There's a few tracks in the sand. I think maybe an elk track, canine prints, a lot of logging trucks, and it's driving me nuts. I'm gonna get out of here, and I'll be back shortly. Share my story at howtohunt.com. Actually, here's the 360 or 180. Yeah, 180 of what I'm seeing. And that's the direction it came from. See dust, slight dusty haze in the air up there from the gravel logging road. Big dark timber goes for quite a ways.